In this recording I'll be running you through the questions that you will come across in your retake exam. So you're all familiar with this exam, I won't spend too long on it. But the exam is in two parts. The first section of the exam you will have to select from a number of questions on different texts. Now you've only studied Of Mice and Men. Please don't go to a question relating to any other fictional text that you'll have on offer. There are a number, so just go to, it's usually number 5 in the previous exam papers. Question number 5, which is on Of Mice and Men. That's the first section. That's worth 40 marks. Now, this section of the exam is actually worth 25% of your final English language grade. But the exam as a whole, because there's a writing section as well, is actually worth 40% of the mark. There is a writing task after, which is worth individually 15%. So this half you should spend longer on, as this is has more marks attached to it and is worth a higher percentage, although both parts are important. Now, what you can have a look at here is that this question is actually divided into two sections. So you'll be doing two mini essays, the first of which you'll be given a selected extract from the novel. So in this case... So my advice to you is the first thing that you need to do upon going into the exam is have a look at the question and just break down what it is that they're asking you to do before you look at the extract. So the first section, which is section A, they are asking you to explore the language in the extract and how that influences your view of the character Slim. And they're looking for you to include examples of language features in your answer. The examiner is looking here that you can, yet again, same as with the poetry exam, that you can analyse language, that you can pick out features, whether you name them or not, you're able to pick out relevant sections of that text, and think about the influence upon the reader about that character. So you're talking there about the writer's intention and the influence that has upon the reader, and then backing up with your examples. So you're analysing, you're explaining, and you're selecting quotes correctly, and you're making sure that you go into as much detail as you possibly can. Now this section is section A is only related to the extract that they have given you. So they're asking you, same as you would for your poetry exam, to select language features from that extract. Following this, you need to go back to the question, double check that what you annotated relates to that. So I know for a fact that I've picked out some language, that I know which examples I'm going to use, and I know that I'm focusing on the character of Slim. Then my advice would be for you to set out a plan. Just a bullet point list of perhaps what you're going to cover in the paragraphs that you will undertake. So the first thing might be that I'm going to talk about the descriptions used. The descriptions of the character, for instance. The second thing might be descriptions of the settings and how that might impact upon our idea of Slim. And maybe I would move on then on my third paragraph to talk about his interactions with other characters. Again, this is not one way of doing it, it's an example. So you would then just choose the quotes that go with that particular selection. You would then go on to write that mini essay. Now you can see that this is actually worth 16 marks. Whereas the second question is actually worth 24. So you spend a little less time on this question, but that's because the extract is already given to you and the clear focus is there. Now moving on to the second question, section B. This one is asking you to use the information that you've explored in your first section. So you can use the points that you've made about Slim and that particular extract, but they're asking you to actually bring in other male characters in the novel and compare where they're explored. So they're asking you to choose one part of the novel. So one way you can prepare for this is by making sure that you have a number of sections of the text that you have already listed, perhaps under male characters or a particular theme such as loneliness. You have a number of sections within the novel that you know you can go to and just pick that out once you're in the exam. Now this one again is asking you how the writer presents that particular character, that other male character in the novel. They are asking you for one of the other male characters, so make sure that you read the question carefully. And they're asking you yet again to use examples of the language used, and again they're talking about the writer's impact upon the reader and they're asking you to support, so to select relevant quotes. Now, you will use information that you've used, as I said, in this section to lead in and link and connect. So you might refer back to the original extract and your analysis of that, either to bring out similarities in the extract that you've chosen or to bring out differences in the way the two male characters are presented. Again, once you've looked at that question, you will have a blank copy of the novel in the exam. I would advise you to go to that section that you want to use, look at it in detail, make some notes perhaps. So making those notes very clear, just put some bullet points down underneath of the kind of things you want to note down, and then you could there also try and make some connections between the two that you've got. So the plan you had for the previous question and the things that you've noted down about this. Are there any clear similarities or differences? Then decide again what you will cover in every single paragraph. Stick to that topic. If you're talking about the language used to describe the setting, then stick to the setting. If you've selected to use the language that is used to describe how the characters speak, then again stick to that one clear idea of how the characters speak. And make sure that you structure your essay in a way that it's clear that there is a focus in every paragraph that links the two extracts that you've selected to use together. Good luck with your revising. The extract that they've actually given you is from section 2, and it's outlining a section where Slim is being presented to the reader, and we also have another couple of characters coming in there. To read it in some detail, and then to select things that you might want to talk about. So, for instance, you might want to talk about the fact that he's described as a master craftsman, or that he's described as moving with majesty. Okay, so you should be annotating that text that you'll get in the exam and making sure that you make any notes that you like at the side to remind yourself of why you've underlined it, why you've annotated. Exactly the same as you would do when you're selecting a poem, and when you're given a poem rather in the exam, you annotate that poem for meaning so that you can then go back and make that plan for the essay. Once you've annotated, you need to make sure that you go